The end of the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime is a regime of evil, backwardness, malice, and hate. It is not merely a political adversary, it is a clear impediment to the stability of humanity. Conventional military tools may weaken the regime temporarily, but a total blockade is the only instrument capable of uprooting this threat, as money is the artery that feeds this extremist ideology. Archaic ideology versus reality. The core dilemma in dealing with the Iranian regime lies in its structural composition. It is a theocratic system immersed in the depths of an ancient ideology that rejects modernization and fails to align with the standards of modern states. Backward education. When examining the educational background of the regime's leaders, one observes a massive chasm between the requirements of sound governance and their intellectual makeup. These leaders are not graduates of prestigious universities. They are graduates of religious seminaries whose teachings are based on texts written 15 centuries ago. Absence of updates. The Iranian regime operates on a closed intellectual operating system. There is no access to the core of this ideological system to perform an update. It is locked and cannot be reformed to function in the modern era. Squandering the Iranian people's wealth. Resources are squandered on useless armament projects that violate international law and jeopardize nations and the global economy. The regime insists on challenging major powers without regard for power balances, reflecting a profound absence of political wisdom. Impossibility of agreement compliance. History has proven that Iran does not honor treaties. Any commitment made during the Trump administration will not be honored by Iran under his successor, so long as money continues to flow. As long as Iran exports oil and rakes in billions, it will sustain its agents and projects across Europe, America, East Asia, and Africa. The siege, a strategy for free fall. President Trump realized what truly pains Iran. The blockade is the most effective tool, far more critical than airstrikes. Iran knows it will collapse if the economic strangulation continues. To ensure this collapse, the strategy must be absolute. Maintain the blockade. No concessions on maritime or economic restrictions. Maintain and intensify sanctions. Existing sanctions must remain, while continuously developing and tightening new ones to close every possible loophole. Persistent surveillance. Iran must be monitored 24/7, including all nuclear sites, missile facilities, drone factories, and any military movements of any kind. Strategic force reallocation. All unnecessary troops can be withdrawn, leaving only the force required to maintain the blockade and deliver devastating responses to any Iranian military or terrorist act.
Why the blockade is the solution. The blockade strikes the regime's infrastructure financially and morally. Payroll paralysis. Continued blockade prevents the regime from paying the salaries of the Revolutionary Guard, the Basij, and the various intelligence agencies. Automatic collapse. The blockade pushes the regime to the brink of total bankruptcy. This forces the Iranian people, and even members of the Revolutionary Guard, to realize that their true enemy is the regime that steals their bread to fund absurd wars. Surgical deterrence and regional protection. The American people and the peoples of the region must exercise patience, for this is the only path to ending Iran's terror forever. Immediate military retaliation. Any military operation by Iran against civilian ships or Gulf states must be met with the surgical deterrence outlined above. The response must be unconventional and painfully personal. Destroying a strategic bridge or a vital factory. Destroying the villa or residence of the commander who ordered the operation, ensuring they understand the price of aggression is immediate and exorbitant. Gulf energy alternatives. Gulf states must secure alternative routes for exporting oil and gas as quickly as possible, even as temporary solutions, to cut off Iran's path to blackmailing the global economy and to ensure stability away from Tehran's extortion. The blockade is the only remaining solution. By tightening the noose and maintaining constant surveillance, we will drain the sources of malice and hate that sustain this backward regime, finally giving the world a chance to live free from constant terrorist threats. In conclusion, the survival of this evil regime is an impossibility in the modern world. Because its leadership is governed by a fossilized ideology, no international body can trust them to implement any treaty. They will always prioritize terror over transparency. The only way to deal with this is to stop treating it as a state and start treating it as a financial target. A total blockade is the best solution because it bypasses the limits of airstrikes, attacking the regime's very nervous system, the money used to pay its enforcers. If we keep the blockade, the regime will inevitably fracture from within as the Revolutionary Guard's payroll vanishes, leading to an automatic collapse. If we lift the blockade, we provide the capital for a more violent, high-tech resurgence of terror. To deal with the regime's actions, any provocation must be met with immediate, surgical destruction of their strategic assets and private strongholds. This is the only path to a permanent end.